Saints quarterback room, Tyler Shough, Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener. This is Pro Football Talk. Peter King is joining Mike Florio. All right. Now, I think a dead giveaway to not being tuned in to the Saints quarterback situation is including Jake Haener in the conversation. And that's no shade to Jake Haener. But Jake Haener does not have a chance, is not part of the QB1 conversation, even before the injury. Hunter Dekkers is not part of the quarterback one conversation. Hunter Dekkers, he needs more development than any of them because he was separated from football for a year and then played at Western Iowa or wherever it was. So he's not in the conversation for week one. He could be down the road, but really this is a one-on-one matchup. Special guest referee Jake Haener, sure. Jake Haener on a pole match, sure. But it is not a three-horse race. And when I see this three-horse race kind of talked about, that to me is a red flag that they're not tuned into the situation.
Let's go to the Saints, where the candidates are Tyler Shough, Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener.
Oh.
So I ask you, Peter King, which of those three doesn't belong and why?
Well, I'll say one that probably would surprise you, knowing that I say a guy shouldn't play until he's ready. But I look at Tyler Shough and Mike in doing the prep for this show. Tyler Shough played parts of 6 college seasons. He started 42 games. And of all the players that we have talked about this morning, I'd say with the exception probably of Jackson Dart, of all the players we've talked about, I think this guy looks like that he's had enough experience that if they have to turn to him early in the season, playing a safe kind of game plan, this is a guy who they can turn to and who'll probably be fairly ready.
Yeah, I think that was the decision. I mean, I agree. I think that was it. That was why he was taken. Is that, they thought, okay, this is a guy that if he does have to play, he'll be ready. And physically, he'll be ready. Mentally, he'll be ready. Emotionally, mature-wise, all that. And it is coming to fruition so far just in OTAs, where, we still have a long way to go to see who actually will get that first snap start. But from everything we've seen so far, Tyler Shough's doing a fine job as far as keeping up with everything physically, keeping up with everything mentally, seems emotionally mature, which is no surprise. He's 26 years old. So we had an idea that this was going to happen as far as this is why they took him. This was kind of the plan. This is where they were seeing the road. And as of a couple of weeks through OTAs, it seems like they're right. Now, I'll tell you this too. We're kind of, putting the eggs before the chicken here, or is it the chicken before the eggs? Who the hell even knows? If Tyler Shough does win this battle, because Spencer Rattler is giving him a real run, which was the best case scenario, because Spencer Rattler is giving him a real run at this, that gives the Saints an option. The Saints have an option now with Rattler to say, well, even if Shough isn't ready, if Rattler's playing good enough, play him, and then bring Shough aboard 4 weeks in, 5 weeks in, 6 weeks in, whatever. But if Shough is ready enough and overtakes Rattler, and he does get that week 1 start, and we start the season with him under center, you got to feel really good about Tyler Shough and where he's at for his development. I would assume, or I would say, he's probably ahead of schedule at that point. If Rattler is good enough and pushing him or whatever, but Shough still gets that start, because then that means the coaches have absolutely zero hesitancy, absolutely zero concern about if he is ready or not. Because if there is any concern, I had a commenter who kind of brought this up, my boy Divine Eternity, but he said, Rattler is kind of in the situation where he can kind of be that scapegoat, and he can kind of be this security blanket for Shough, where now there's not this rush. Like Tennessee is in an absolute rush to get Cam Ward on the field as soon as possible. They don't have someone that they can say, yeah, play him for 4 or 5 weeks and then we'll bring in Cam Ward. They don't have that luxury. The Giants have the luxury. They can play Russell Wilson. They can play Jameis Winston. They can play whoever. They don't have to rush Jackson Dart out there. The Saints, if Rattler keeps playing as good as he's playing, they have that luxury too, to where they can play Rattler, bring Shough along even further. So if you do see Shough start week 1 as a Saints fan, any concern you have about, like, is he ready or not, you can go ahead and put that to bed.
You hear a lot about how ready he was to play early on at Louisville in his only year in Louisville. And obviously he had an excellent year there.
Peter King says Louisville. I keep getting screamed at for saying Louisville. Everyone else says Louisville. Who says Louisville?
I think Tyler Shough doesn't belong in this group.
That was an awesome mural in the background.
Wait, what? Wait, what do you mean? Which doesn't belong and why? Wait.
That was an awesome mural.
Did Peter King say Tyler Shough doesn't belong?
I think Tyler Shough doesn't belong in this group.
Maybe he's saying, I think he's answering it in like the inverse, where he's saying that Tyler Shough is head and shoulders above Rattler and Haener. I would say Haener doesn't belong. I mean, the odds even show that. The odds had Haener like plus 50,000 or something. 5,000, plus 5,000. So, yeah, I mean, Haener does not belong in that conversation. Rattler can win it. It's Shough's job to lose, obviously, but I don't think, and this is, again, before the injury. I know he's hurt, but I don't think he was ever in the conversation.
That was an awesome mural in the background, by the way. Can we get a still of that? You got Archie Manning, you got Willie Roaf, you got Will Smith, you got Morton Anderson. I've never seen that before. And maybe there's Jonathan Vilma in there. That's a great, like, almost AI-generated image with all of the greats from past Saints teams. That's something, again, as far as I know, that's new. But will Tyler Shough be on there one of these days? He's got the best chance of the 3 guys there, Peter. The one that doesn't belong to me is Jake Haener.
There you go, Michael. Michael's tuned in.
Already out until training camp with an injury. Yeah. He's going to be gone. He'll be gone. He won't be on the 53-man roster. Yeah. Maybe they sneak him onto the practice squad, but I think that we've seen enough from him that he's going to be the odd man out. Yeah. I don't think Spencer Rattler's done enough to be the backup, but he may be all they have at this.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rattler has the puzzle keeps getting more unique, because let's say Rattler struggles. Okay, let's say through OTAs, through training camp, through preseason, let's say Rattler struggles. Then, like I was saying earlier, you kind of have to hot shot Shough out there. But Rattler doing good is a good problem to have for the Saints, because if he is so good, you know how I always talk about the if then that situations? If Rattler is so good he's playing and he's starting, that's fantastic, because either then you roll with Rattler or you can bring Shough along even with more development or whatever. So worst case scenario was that Rattler would be bad and Shough also would be bad, to where you're kind of forced to play Shough, but you're rushing him and you're hurting his development. So as of right now, 2 weeks into OTAs, at least from what we've seen so far, that is not the issue. That's the biggest red flag. That would be the biggest problem in this whole algorithm, would be if neither of the guys are ready. If they're both ready, unbelievable, perfect, fantastic. If they're neck and neck, on the positive side of things, great, fantastic.
At this point, this is all about Tyler Shough. And I know that people are starting to wonder who's going to sink to the bottom of the standings and therefore the top of the draft order for Archie Manning's grandson,
who will not be in the draft next year.
It's next year or the year after. I think it's more likely 2027. Yeah. The Saints, surely. You look at all the teams with ties to the Mannings, the Saints, the Giants, the Colts, the Broncos, although they have their guy in Bo Nix. But between the Saints, the Giants, and the Colts, you just wonder if one of those 3 teams is going to begin planning to try to get Arch Manning. And Tyler Shough has a chance to turn the page on that one in New Orleans if he can step up as a 25-year-old rookie and get it done.
The most insane storyline is this Arch Manning thing. I mean, I cannot believe Florio just said that. I cannot believe he's like, man, wouldn't the Giants like to have Arch Manning? It's like, brother, they just drafted Jackson Dart. I mean, Arch is Eli's nephew. It's not like it's not like it's Eli Manning Jr. It's Eli's brother's son. So you've got Eli's nephew. Who cares? Like, I understand the back of the jersey says Manning, but damn. I mean, this whole like acting like we're on a Disney Channel movie, we're moving heaven and earth just to get Arch Manning in these situations with the Colts and the Giants. The Giants just traded up to draft Jackson Dart, and Florio's already talking about the Giants possibly wanting to be in some, insane story where they have Arch Manning, who he's kind of sort of tied to Eli, what? This whole thing is just crazy. I mean, the whole thing has gotten so out of control. I cannot believe we're still talking about it. I mean, like poor Jackson Dart hasn't taken a snap. And they're like, yeah, I mean, maybe the Giants want to move off of Jackson Dart and draft Arch Manning. Crazy, man. But, yeah, I mean, I think Jake Haener is the obvious choice here. I think, a lot of the times the machinations of the roster and whatnot is pretty easy to predict. And I think what we're going to see is Tyler Shough is going to be given every chance to be the starter. Whether he is the starter week 1 or he's brought on a little bit later, we'll see. If Spencer Rattler can catch fire and surprise everyone and be the starter and hold off Tyler Shough, maybe so. Jake Haener, I think, is off the roster, and Hunter Dekkers is the long-term kind of project, the development guy who potentially could be used in gadget situations. I don't know, but I think that's kind of the forecast. And as far as week 1, a couple months here, we're 96 days or something away from the season. So with less than 100 days until the season, it is truly a 2-horse race. One of those 2 guys will be your starting quarterback. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comments below what you think. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.